one day removed from the finale of the MCU Rewatch Reviews. We're back here already reviewing the second season, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. The Doc, Chris Mueller, we're back here not discussing Marvel this time, but rather Star Wars. We're so, close removed from the MCU Rewatch Review series. We're wasting no time in getting to the Star Wars universe here.
It's still Disney's umbrella, so...
We're just bumping out all the content Disney-related. Next up, it's going to be... I don't even know what else is Disney-related. We'll start reviewing the Pixar movies next, but this was great. I tweeted you the other day because I watched the Season 2 premiere on Friday. Now, we have not discussed, really, analyzed, reviewed. We've talked about it off-air a little bit, the first season of The Mandalorian, which came out about a year ago on Disney+. We haven't done any other reviews for it. I haven't gone back and watched the first season. Maybe at some point I will. We're just kind of going from this point forward here. We will probably make this a weekly thing if we can keep it up with the weekly episodes. And it's better than like going to see a movie or something because it's on Disney+. And that was a big reason why I signed up for it in the first place a year ago, was for this show. And the first season was so well reviewed, so critically acclaimed. I figured the second season would be good. We're only one episode in, and it's already off to a spectacular start, I would say.
Oh, me too. I loved the first episode of season 2, and I thought they did a really good job, like, making you happy that it was back, but not feeding too much into all the different things people want to see right away.
Exactly. They didn't give too much away right from the get-go. There were a lot of rumors as to what characters would be, incorporated into the season. For example, as wrestling fans, I'm looking forward to seeing Sasha Banks in the show at some point. Obviously, she was very heavily featured. I guess not heavily, but they showed her a bunch of times in the trailer. And that's what really got a lot of people talking, especially within the wrestling circle. We didn't see her at all in this episode. They don't need to rush everything. And I think there's going to be... I know it runs through December 18th, which is the last Friday before Christmas. So I think there's about 8 episodes. It's 8 to 10 episodes, I know that. So there's going to be a bunch over the course of the next month and a half, which I'm super looking forward to. And I just said this to you before we started recording. I don't know if it's because it's been about a year since we last got the show, or because there really hasn't been a lot of new stuff out in 2020 just due to everything going on. But I feel like this season is already off to a better start than the first one was, which was already good to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say one is better than the other as far as premieres, because that season premiere in the beginning of season 1 was so good too. But this one, it's like they're already incorporating some familiar characters while also showing us a bunch of new stuff. Like, the thing I really liked about this one is that they expanded our knowledge of those Tusken Raiders who, if all we had to go off of before this really was A New Hope, when, they knock Luke out and Obi-Wan chases him away, and there's not a lot of info given, and now we get to see their society a little bit, and like, we see that they communicate with sign language and grunts, like, as a combination. They're, I guess, like, kind of honorable in that they're willing to give that town, like, a peace treaty in order to help them take out that crate dragon thing. So it was cool that, like, we're starting to see that not all of the things that were originally portrayed as just being bad are necessarily all bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of big takeaways there are from this episode, but definitely the Tusken Raiders thing I think was one of my favorite parts, because they definitely, I don't know if humanize is the right word, but that's what it felt like to me, how they really kind of, give an extra depth of character to their characters and kind of make you care about them beyond what we just saw in A New Hope, which came out so long ago. And I mean, obviously you see them in the expanded universe and stuff like that, but I love the scene too when the Marshal and the Mandalorian are trying to round up the people, telling them, okay, we got to work with the Tusken Raiders to take out the crate dragon. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not great with names, so you're going to have to help me fill in the blanks here, but they got to take out the crate dragon. They're trying to round up the people to get their help, telling them that they have to team up with the Tusken Raiders. And everyone immediately is so dismissive of the idea, saying they're monsters. I think even the bartender, who we see a lot in this episode, is like, oh, they're monsters. We don't want to work with them. And it brings these two essentially races of people together to take out a common enemy in the crate dragon, which I think now more than ever in 2020, I think is a great message to send. I'm not even sure if that was the focus of this episode, but I thought that was a little touch to what was a very good episode overall.
Yeah, and it's kind of a typical Western story from, like, Have Gun Will Travel or The Searchers or Gunsmoke. Like, you have the lone gunman rides into town, makes friends with the sheriff, and then you find out that something is invading the town constantly, but he bands people together. Like the Magnificent Seven is basically that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I haven't seen The Magnificent Seven. I want to watch that movie. But yeah, maybe it also resonated with me because I know you just watched it too. But I just got finished watching 2 weeks ago on Back to the Future Day itself, Back to the Future Part 3, which is obviously a very Western film. That was the whole theme of the movie. So maybe I'm just in that mode right now. But obviously that was the theme of this episode specifically, and it just worked so well. Timothy Olyphant, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was the Marshal here in this episode, walking in. Well, we're going to be all over the place here. This episode was called The Marshal. I told you earlier, we don't have to do like a super in-depth analysis. I'm just kind of going off whatever comes to my head about this episode. But he walks in the bar the first time to meet the Mandalorian wearing the Boba Fett gear. And now, obviously, it's not Boba Fett itself, but any longtime Star Wars fan who we haven't seen Boba Fett since the Episode 6, since Return of the Jedi, is going to immediately recognize that armor. And obviously, you know just from looking at him that it doesn't fit him well. You know it's not Boba Fett. So I think the way they did this whole reveal here was super well done. Now, part of me kind of wanted the first appearance of Boba Fett, which had been heavily rumored coming into the second season of the show. Because portraying Boba Fett apparently is going to be the same guy who was Jango Fett in Episode 2, and you know, that so many years ago, which is awesome. So I kind of wanted that initial reveal of Boba Fett to be in the gear when we first see him. And then again, spoiler alert, I'm not sure why you'd be listening if you haven't seen the episode yet, but we see him at the end of the episode without the gear on, which was still awesome. It was an amazing end of the episode. But what were your thoughts in seeing the gear for the first time since Return of the Jedi, Chris? What were your thoughts in that whole reveal there of kind of the Marshal wearing the Boba Fett gear walking into the bar to meet the Mandalorian?
I mean, as soon as you see him standing in the doorway, you know it's not Boba Fett, especially if you know how the actor who's going to be playing him is built. Tamora Morrison's not a skinny guy like Timothy Olyphant. So immediately I was like, okay, well, this is a red herring, but maybe it's just like a different thing. But then we find out it really is his armor. So that was cool. But I mean, casting Timothy Olyphant for what was essentially a Western story, I mean, that's perfect. I mean, Fight are both really great shows that are kind of Western themed characters for him. And yeah, so it was really awesome to see that. But like, as soon as I saw Tamora Morrison at the end, my immediate thought was like, okay, well, there's Boba Fett. And then I realized that there's other people that technically can be, because every clone trooper looks like him.
Exactly. So that was another theory I had seen. Now, you have watched it. I haven't seen any of it, but you had seen the Clone Wars or Rebels. What was it? Was it Clone Wars and Rebels were the two main shows, the animated shows?
Yeah, I only saw the Clone Wars, like the movie they made.
Okay.
And then I saw like most of the Rebels cartoon. I may have missed some episodes along the way, but yeah, so those characters, after the Jedi purge and a lot of the clone troopers are killed off and replaced with like stormtroopers that are just, orphans.
Yep.
A lot of the clone troopers that survived went out and did other things, and a bunch of them who didn't turn on the Jedi and like chose to disobey their programming kind of became important characters on that Rebels show, one of them being Captain Rex.
Mm-hmm. I think that's who I thought. I think that's a lot of who a lot of people thought that was at the end of this episode, potentially.
But if you look at the stuff on his back, it looks kind of like the rifle that the Mandalorian has, like similar but different. Like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Boba Fett, and it also would feel cheap if they tricked us twice in the same episode, because you see Boba Fett walk into the bar, and then it's not Boba Fett, it's actually Cobb Vanth or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And then if they're going to show us that actor at the end of the episode, it would be really cheap of them to be like, nope, it's not him again. Like, you can't pull the rug out from under somebody twice in the same episode with a character as iconic as Boba Fett, especially because that character really isn't that cool when you look at the original movies. He just looks cool.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't do anything cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he's not the one who captures Han Solo. He ends up kind of going out like a baby. And there's a funny reference to actually the way you think he dies in Return of the Jedi.
Is it you talking about the jetpack?
Yeah, like
I thought that
the
was
Mando
hilarious,
hits the jetpack and he goes flying, and it's like that's just like when Boba Fett got hit and went flying and hit the side of Jabba's ship and then fell down. But one of the cool details that I liked that they threw in was it seemed pretty obvious to me when they made it clear that, like, oh, the crate dragon is so dangerous that it actually ate the Sarlacc that was in the Sarlacc pit. And the Sarlacc is the thing that, you think Boba Fett dies falling into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they had to explain that at some point, I would assume, how he obviously survived, which has always been a theory dating back years. So, I mean, I would assume they're going to explain that somehow.
I guess the comics or the books went into it a little bit, but some of that stuff might not even be canon anymore.
Okay, yeah.
But what I like is that they showed the Mandalorian get swallowed by the crate dragon, and then they show specifically how he gets out, and that's by electrocuting the thing with his rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, maybe that's how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's what my brain immediately made the connection to.
Yeah, no, that would make sense, and that's probably why they did that. I think this is why I really like the episode, because there's a lot of layers to it. I think Timothy Olyphant played his role really, really well as Cobb Vanth, rather, as you said. You have him in this episode. You have the general story of them trying to defeat the crate dragon, so he'll get the armor. It's like little mini side quests throughout the show. That was a big part of the first season, I felt, where you have like these little mini side quests and mini adventures and shit. Like when they worked with the Jawas in the first season. I forgot what episode it was. That's kind of like what this felt, like to me. And then you have kind of the bigger story of the whole goal of this season, I think, is to get Baby Yoda back to his kind, right? Is that Mandalorian's whole goal here?
Yeah, but they're sort of being vague on that, because it's like, well, are his kind the same exact alien species, or are they talking about the Jedi? Because it seems like it seemed at the end of that first season to me, because she explained the history of the Mandalorian, the armorer lady, explained the history of the Mandalorian Jedi War. And he was like, you want me to deliver this baby to, like, enemies? And she's like, that is the way. And it's like, okay, so that tells me that they mean Jedi, which means he could be searching for any number of people. And what's funny is, at this point in the timeline, this is supposed to be 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think, like, Luke Skywalker's exploits would be well known by somebody on Tatooine, and they could direct him to where Luke has his new school set up.
Yeah, that's a good point, because this whole, not this part specifically, yeah, but doesn't this whole first episode take place on Tatooine exclusively?
Except for the opening scene when he goes to that, like, underground fight club, and that guy that he hangs upside down sends him to Tatooine.
Yeah, the Star Wars version of Raw Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that is a good question. I'm hoping that I have enough faith in Jon Favreau and the people who make this show that they'll probably explain that at some point. But no, it's cool. So that's obviously the main goal. But then he also wants to get the Mandalorian gear, I guess, for lack of a better term, back to who it belongs to. Is he referring to Boba Fett or just back to the more Mandalorians? That's what I was confused about.
I think he wants to return it to, like, a Mandalorian armorer or somebody in charge. Like, it's sort of their creed to treat that armor as sacred, so that's what he's doing. But Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian. Like, he just has Mandalorian armor somehow. Like, clearly probably just killed a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Mandalorian knows or cares who Boba Fett is at this point.
So Boba Fett, you said earlier, with the stuff that he had on his back, you said it looked like Mandalorian, the guns that the Mandalorian has, right?
Yeah, like that long, skinny rifle sort of looked similar, but it could just be something else. But I feel like there were little hints that was Boba Fett.
Oh no, it was definitely. I definitely think it was Boba Fett, but I think with what he was wearing, Now, I had seen this theory, and this is what kind of resonated with me. Could he have been wearing the Tusken Raider garb? Because it looked like the same type of stuff that the Tusken Raiders would have / wear.
Well, his robes were much darker. It almost looked more like what Obi-Wan was wearing at the beginning of
A
A
New
New
Hope.
Hope.
Yeah, that's
Like
a good
just a
point.
dark brown robe and like I kind of wanted to go back and watch the episode and try and spot and see if I could see like a dude walking around in dark brown robes in the background somewhere. Because it seems like they might throw that little detail in, like maybe Boba Fett was in that town the whole time.
Well, so that's what I was wondering. That's why I mentioned the Tusken Raider thing, because again, one of the breakdowns I had seen about the episode that I thought was so cool was how there was one scene where I think it was the scene where they were all around the fire and they were discussing the plan to kill the Krayt Dragon, and then the Tusken Raider and Cobb got into it with each other. And before they were about to fucking kill each other, that's when the Mandalorian kind of interrupted it. But during that scene when they're at the fire, I think it's nighttime, all the Tusken Raiders and Cobb and the Mandalorian are around the fire, but there's this one Tusken Raider kind of off to the side, like by himself. And it was really random because it wasn't like, I didn't notice it the first time I saw it, but it's not like there was a bunch scattered throughout where the fire is. There's just kind of like this one specific Tusken Raider in clear view that's off to the side and kind of isolated from everyone else. So I didn't know if that was maybe Boba in the Tusken Raider garb, and maybe they were just planting the seeds there, and he's been among them the entire time. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Are you talking about the guy that was like cleaning the teeth of the bantha thing that they were feeding to the Krayt Dragon? Because I know that when they first show that scene, like there's one dude sort of scrubbing that thing's teeth, and then it sort of pans to the fire that they're sitting at. Is that who you're talking about?
No, there was actually a guy just sitting. He was sitting down at the fire with everyone else, but he was just kind of not like dramatically, not significantly, but by a little bit he was away from the fire. Now again, that might just be purely a coincidence, and it probably is. But no, not that
Yeah.
guy.
I feel like that's probably just like they're just showing that there's more raiders in the camp than just the guys at the fire. But I feel like if they had put Boba Fett in like that exact same color robe, then yeah, that would be a good jump in logic to make.
Yeah, no, that would certainly make sense. I'm very excited that he's back because, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the whole idea behind the show, because when they announced maybe 5-6 years ago, when they were making all these movies, all the Star Wars movies and the sequels and the spin-offs and all this other shit, they announced Rogue One, they announced the Han Solo origin movie, both of which they did. But they also either announced or announced plans to make an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, which is now going to be a show, with the original Obi-Wan, not the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, but from the prequel trilogy, which is cool, whose name escapes me. What's that guy's name again? Or Ewan McGregor, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be in the show. And then the Boba Fett movie was never made, obviously, but did that kind of transform and plant the seeds for this show being made instead?
Yeah, I heard somebody actually make a pretty good point, and they're like, this show exists solely because Boba Fett looks cool.
No, absolutely. So that was my original criticism when I heard the plans to make a Boba Fett movie, just because, listen, it's not that I don't want to see it, but I feel like it's such a niche thing. I think for a show it works better. I feel like for a movie, people know Han Solo. If it worked, if the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie was a movie, I could see that working as well. I just don't really think a Boba Fett, not an origin story, but like you see what happens to him after he survives. I just don't think that works as a movie that people would go pay to see, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like doing the TV show route and having Boba Fett's story told through The Mandalorian is better than giving his own thing, just because that's one of those characters that, like, there's a lot out there about him in other media, so there isn't a ton that they need to do with him in live action anymore.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
definitely.
cool that they're bringing him in, and I do like that they got the same actor who played Jango Fett and all the clone troopers to play him because it's makes sense.
It makes complete sense. And it's been so long since that movie came out. It came out in 2002, I think. So the fact that he was still willing to do it and able to do it, I think is really, really cool. So, yeah, I'm super looking forward to that. Is the guy that played the original Boba Fett under the costume still around by any chance, or no? Did he die a while ago?
I honestly don't even know who it was. I'm sure it might not have even been the same guy in both movies. He has
Okay.
like one line.
Yeah.
And I want to say in the new edits that they released, like roughly around the prequels, they may have even overdubbed this actor's voice onto that. Kind of
Oh,
like how
really?
they edited in Hayden Christensen as Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi
Yeah.
instead of whatever actor was originally playing Anakin in that scene.
As the Force goes, yeah, and the
Yeah.
edited, yeah, which is so weird. But yeah, no, definitely. We'll see. I guess we'll see where they go with it. It's not a big deal. But I'm thinking like, like how Kane Hodder portrays Jason Voorhees, and I'm pretty sure they brought him in for most, if not all, of the Friday the 13th movies. I don't know if it was that type of thing where if you're going to bring back the Boba Fett character, not that he should portray him here, because we know Jango Fett's face. So seeing his face, it's like, holy shit, like I recognize. We never saw Boba Fett's face in the original movie, so if they had shown the actor who portrayed him, and that was 40 years ago too, so I'm not even sure again if the guy's still around or if he's still interested. Like, because I know obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi died years ago, but he was also on the older side. I don't know if that guy was young or if he was like 40 at the time and now he's like 80. Not that it really matters, but it'll be cool to see where they kind of go with that. One last note from the episode, because I know we talked about a lot here, and there is a lot to talk about from the episode. Baby Yoda kind of took a back seat here, and I like that because obviously he's the star of the show here. I was just in the Disney store at a mall yesterday, and obviously everything Mandalorian related, 90% of the merchandise is all fucking Baby Yoda, as it should be. He's a very popular character. I love Baby Yoda, but did you like the fact, as I did, that he kind of took a back seat from this episode and didn't really factor in as much as he usually does?
Yeah, I mean, they threw in a couple little moments for Baby Yoda fans, like when he closes his own little thing when the Mandalorian's about to fight,
Yeah, that was from the trailer, yeah.
or when he like peeks out of the spittoon after the crate dragon rolls through town. Like they put in a couple little things, but yeah, he wasn't the main focus, and it's good that they're not immediately overdoing it. Because I almost feel like Guardians 2 went like maybe one step too far with Baby Groot.
Mm-hmm.
And this show is like, okay, we know you love Baby Yoda, but we don't want people to get sick of him right away, so let's just keep him in the periphery. Like, yeah, he's near Mando at all times, but it doesn't have to be like the main focus. And I really loved that they brought back Amy Sedaris' character as like the lady who owns the little place he brought his ship to in the beginning of the
Yes,
episode.
yeah, I forgot about that scene too, but yeah, I love the fact that we got to see her in the beginning.
Yeah, she's so funny, and like her obsession with Baby Yoda is clearly supposed to mimic the fans' obsession. And I love
Yeah.
how she's just like, if this guy ever makes some little buds or whatever she called them, she's like, I will happily pay you for the offspring.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Good
thought that
lord.
was great too. No, I like that because they filmed obviously the whole first season before it blew up into what it was, and it became critically acclaimed, and people wanted the Baby Yoda dolls, which didn't come out until months later. So it would have been very easy for Jon Favreau and the rest of the crew behind this show to see, okay, he's super popular, let's plaster him all over the place, like they kind of did with Baby Groot. They didn't shove Baby Groot down her throats for Guardians 2, but I definitely feel what you're talking about, that he was featured and almost too cute of a way where he kind of stole the show from some other people. But they did the opposite here, and they're like, okay, we know that you like Baby Yoda, but for this first episode, it's going to be all about the Mandalorian. It's going to be all about this guy, Cobb Vanth, who we obviously probably won't see again after this, which is cool. I like the fact, too, and a quick side thing. Or sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Really quick, he is in, apparently, I just found this out today when I was watching a video about the show. Apparently he's in some of the books that have been written recently that are considered
Aftermath.
canon.
Isn't that what it's called?
That's it. So I don't know how big of a role he plays or if he's even a central character, but apparently they changed slight details about how he had acquired the armor.
I heard about that.
But like most of it seems to match up with what was in the book, I guess. So it would be cool to see Timothy Olyphant pop up again, and they leave on good terms when he's like, I hope our paths cross again, and Mando's like, yeah, me too. So
yeah,
it's cool that like they were able to not immediately come to blows and eventually became friends. Like, and it sort of already feels like they're starting to do something similar to what they did in season 1, which is he's starting to accrue contacts that may come back in a big way at the finale, because like the finale of season 1, it's sort of all these different people he'd worked together. There's the IG-88, Grief Karga, the girl, I forget her name, Cara Dune.
Yep.
Like, they're all there helping him at the end, and it feels like maybe that's what Timothy Olyphant will be in this too. Like, at some point Mando will need help and he'll go gather, a motley group of people, and Timothy Olyphant will be among them.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be cool. I like the fact with the first season that they had a lot of different, cameos, like from Bill Burr was in one of the people that they featured in one. I mean, we don't see him in the finale. I don't think. I think we only saw him in that one episode. But these people play
He
their
even
roles.
survived that episode?
I don't. That's the thing. I think he did. I think he was just imprisoned or something. I don't think he died.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think I'd have to go back and see it. But I thought he was really good. So like people like him, and these people are portrayed in a way where it doesn't feel forced. It feels like they're organically a part of the show, where it's not like, oh, it's Timothy Olyphant. Like obviously it's him, but he doesn't. I don't know. It's not like a major focal point, so I appreciate that. And it's all people who make sense too, and the characters they portray. It was cool. I did hear about that the character Cobb Vanth was apparently from like the book The Aftermath or something, and they kind of incorporated him into the show. And that was one of the books, I guess, that took place after Disney had decanonized, I think if that's the right word to use, the whole expanded universe. This was one of the pieces of media that came out after that, so technically it counts, which is why they did it here in the show. So I thought that was really cool. What was the other thing I was going to ask you? But I thought overall the episode was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Any bold predictions for the rest of season 2, Chris? Other than what you kind of said about the whole reunion thing at the end?
Well, I get the feeling that I don't think Boba Fett is gonna necessarily be an enemy.
Okay.
I don't think he's necessarily gonna be a good guy, but I don't know if it needs to come down to a battle between him and the Mandalorian. Like, it almost would be even more meaningful if in some way he was able to earn enough respect to actually earn his Mandalorian armor instead of however he initially stole it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could definitely see that happening. I think the obvious route is to take, with the whole Boba Fett thing, is to have him face the Mandalorian at some point, but to have them form an alliance instead against, I don't remember his name, but who was like the main bad guy revealed at the end of season 1? The guy with the dark saber.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, okay. So maybe they
there
team
was
up against
no
him.
mention or sight of him, which surprised me a little, but also I was like, well, we don't need him necessarily right away, and who knows how big of a role he'll even play in the season.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that they're waiting to sort of bring us some of those characters again, because we already know he's going to see Grief Karga and Cara Dune at some point because they were in the trailer, and we know Sasha Banks is coming. So I'm not in any hurry to need Giancarlo Esposito back again.
Do you think it was kind of like a Thanos thing where we see him at the end of that? I mean, was he in just that episode? No, yeah, he was just in that episode. It wasn't like he had been shown several times, I don't think, right? That was his only appearance so far, was the end of season 1?
Pretty much, yeah. He shows up, takes his TIE fighter, fights Mando in the sky, gets blown up, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, he's in that whole episode, but it's really just that episode and that short amount of time that we see him. So it'll be cool to see what they have planned for him. And obviously the dark saber is going to be important because that's a big part of Mandalorian culture as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping they address how he got it, because Rebels made it really clear who ended up with that.
Was that Darth Maul or someone else?
No, it was a Mandalorian. I think their name was Bo-Katan.
Oh, okay, Bo-Katan. Yeah, I've heard the name before.
Originally it was the girl from the show, Sabine.
Okay.
Who a lot of people think Sasha might be playing her, like, as a more adult version of her.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. There's a lot of people she could be. I mean, the movies have barely even touched on the fact that there's technically witches in the Star Wars universe. Like,
I did not know that. Interesting.
It's a lot in the comics and in the books and all that stuff, and they're basically just a different kind of Force user.
Mm-hmm.
But they call themselves, like, witches. Like, she could be part of one of those cults on some planet that does use the Force but doesn't really apply either the Jedi or the Sith way of thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that we don't know about the whole Force thing that they keep, like, adding little details over time. So they could be, somebody completely different too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know there was some speculation at one point, and again, I have not seen the shows. I just kind of know what I know what I know based off of like reviews and stuff like that. But Ahsoka Tano, was that the name of the woman from the shows that's going to be brought back for this show at some point, played by God, I forgot her name. But is that the name of the character from the show though?
Yeah, Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson, yes,
I believe.
Yes, yep. That's who I'm thinking of. Well, it has not been confirmed yet that's who she's playing, but that's probably who she is playing, right? If you have to take a guess.
I don't know if it's been officially acknowledged by Disney, but like, it wouldn't surprise me if that's who she's playing, and it would actually make me happy because that character in Clone Wars is super annoying, but in Rebels, like, they really make her interesting.
Okay. And she's a big part of that show in the Rebels, right?
Well, like, she's in Clone Wars from start to finish. In Rebels, she kind of comes in and out. She's not part of the main group of people that you follow on that show. Also, I would love it if they gave Freddie Prinze Jr. a chance to play the character that he voices in Rebels in a live-action thing sometime.
That would be sick, because he's a big part of that show, and I'm sure he would absolutely jump on that if they did offer him that spot.
Yeah, I believe his character, I'm not even 100% sure on this, I believe his character dies at some point in the show, but that doesn't mean there can't be a flashback. Like, Ahsoka Tano deals with him a lot, so, like, it would just be so cool if she's telling Mando a story from back then, and it's Freddie Prinze Jr. playing that character in live action for all of 5 minutes just as a cameo. Like, it would just be awesome.
Yeah, no, that'd be sick. I think... Well, two things. One, was he one of the voices at the end of Rise of Skywalker? Did they feature his voice or no?
Yes.
He was. Okay, cool. And I know they used the voice of Ahsoka Tano from the show, correct, as well?
As well as Ezra Bridger, who is basically the main character of Rebels that we follow.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So, and there's a lot of rumors that, like, we could see him on The Mandalorian at some point because his ending in Rebels is super weird. Like, he kind of sacrifices himself, but not in a way of death. Like, there's these weird space whales in the cartoon that, like, somehow by themselves can move at, like, just insane speeds, even faster than the ships can go at warp. Yeah. So at some point, Ezra traps himself and the main villain on a ship, and then he gets those whales to sort of attach themselves to the ship, and then he uses, like, a force connection with them to make them jump pretty much to the other side of the universe.
What the fuck? Jesus.
And it's like, it's supposed to be this big heroic sacrifice because he knows that there's probably no way he's ever going to see any of those characters again. But the show literally ends with Sabine and the rest of the crew being like, let's go find Ezra. Like, so there's room, and he's like a super powerful force user by the end of that show, to the point that he's like competitive in a fight against Darth Maul or Darth Vader. So if they brought him into the show, like, I could see maybe him being the Jedi that receives the baby Yoda. Like, that would be really cool.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool. I gotta watch the show because I would appreciate it if I heard the reference after hearing you tell me about it and just see other people talk about it. But I think I would appreciate it more if I watched the show and I'm like, holy shit, that's the character, that's the bean. So
I will warn you, the first season is, like, way more childish than the stuff that comes after it. Like, it was clearly designed for kids, but the show gets much more serious as it goes along, and it starts getting way more interesting. But in the beginning, like, it's a computer animated show too, so it kind of has a funny look to it.
Yeah, both Clone Wars and Rebels, right?
Yeah, but, like, it was a big step up from Clone Wars, at least in my opinion.
Oh yeah, because it came years later. Are you talking about animation wise?
Yeah, like, it looks cooler than Clone Wars. It doesn't look as much like a PlayStation 2 cutscene. But at the same time, like, it's not that Disney level of polish that you expect on a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, it has similarities to some of the Pixar animation, but not as detailed or rich, at least in that first season. After that, they really start to... You can tell things get more detailed.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, I've seen clips of it, and it looks impressive.
Yeah, it's a fun show, and it's 22-minute episodes, so it's something you can throw on really quick at the end of the day if you just want to watch one at a time.
Oh, they're 20-minute episodes or 22 or whatever. Because didn't they
Yeah,
air originally on TV?
yeah, I think it was a Disney like channel show or Disney XD or one of those channels, and it's a regular half-hour show, so
Oh,
without all the
perfect.
commercials, it's 21, 22 minutes an episode.
I am more motivated to watch shows like that than I am an hour, even if there's like, I mean, I guess with Mandalorian, by the way, is usually 30 to 40 minutes. This episode was like 54 minutes because it was the season premiere, but it didn't really feel like that at all. I mean, not every minute matters, but it's still a very good episode. But if I see a show that's like 20 to 25 minutes, I am absolutely more motivated to be like, okay, I can watch 2 episodes today or whatever than I would be if it was like an hour episode, just because you got to sit. I don't like to watch like half of an episode and then go back and watch the rest later. Like I got to watch the whole thing right then and there. And then it's difficult to find like one interrupted hour. So I would definitely be more open to that then. Are you talking about both Clone Wars and Rebels?
I believe Clone Wars followed a similar thing. Like
Okay.
Clone Wars started with a movie that was, an hour and a half long, and then after that it became a show that was half-hour episodes. But yeah, Rebels is pretty much just the 22-minute chunks all the way through, so you can burn through them pretty quick, especially because there's only 4 seasons.
Okay.
So it's not like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it's 8 years or 7 years and hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
Catch up on, like, you could realistically, if you wanted to, you could probably watch the entirety of Rebels in like a month or two.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. I might have to get on that first before I get on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the other Marvel shows that we discussed at our Infinity Saga ranking video. I might have to jump on that pretty soon, but awesome. I will say this, though, because I forgot to mention this earlier when you were talking about the actor who played Sabine, right, appearing in the show at some point. I saw an Easter egg. I'm not sure if you saw this. I thought this was really fucking cool. Now, I have not seen Clone Wars and Rebels again, but I thought this was cool when I heard about it, that the person who voiced Darth Maul is actually in this episode of The Mandalorian. He's one of the people that when Mandalorian, I think when he first comes into town, maybe it's either him or Cobb, or one of the two. I think it's the Mandalorian's character. When he first comes into town and everyone's like kind of like looking at him, the person who plays Darth Maul, the voice of him in the show, is on the show. He's one of the people they show very briefly. But I thought that was a really cool Easter egg, though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what his name is, but I saw that, and I'm pretty sure it's accurate. I'd have to go back and see it for myself. And obviously he doesn't say anything, so you don't get to hear the voice. But I thought that was really cool, though.
Yeah, I think the guy who does his voice is named Peter Serafinowicz. Who did you ever see Shaun of the Dead?
I did not. I know of the movie. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, he's mostly known for comedic roles, but yeah,
Okay.
he is. It does show here he is the voice of Maul. I'm looking to see if it lists him in anything in The Mandalorian, though.
Yeah, I might be wrong. It's a very blink and you miss it cameo.
Are you sure it's not the guy who is the body of Maul, like the Ray Park? I think his name is.
No, I definitely think it was the guy. I'd have to go back and check. Let me see. Darth Maul and the Mandalorian. Let me see. I'm almost positive it was the same guy. I'd have to go back. I have to check on Twitter real quick and just see if anyone else picked up on it. No, yeah, I definitely. It wasn't Ray Park or Ray. Was it Ray Park or something like that?
I think that's who played the Mandalorian, like, by body. He's a martial artist. Let me see here. Yeah, Ray Park did the body, and Peter Serafinowicz was the voice.
Oh, wait a second. Let me see. No, damn it. I'm trying to find if anyone else picked up on it. It was the video that I saw. It made a pretty clear connection that it was the same guy, but I'm not seeing anyone else talk about it, so I don't know if it actually happened or not. Never mind, I might have to take that back, but I thought that was really cool. If it was indeed the case, I'd have to go back and watch the episode. But anyway, someone maybe can double check me on that, but I'll double check myself after we get done here. But if so, that's a pretty cool callback. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate though.
Now, the guy who voices Maul in all the cartoons is a different actor named Sam Witwer. I wonder if that's who they're talking about.
Compared to who?
Well, Peter Serafinowicz voiced him in episode 1.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, yeah, he voiced him in the show. That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, in all the cartoons, I think it's an actor named Sam Witwer who, God, I know he's probably been in something you've seen. I mean, he's in the first episode of The Walking Dead as, like, a really prominent zombie.
Oh, I've seen the first episode of The Walking Dead, not in a long time, but I have seen it before.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He was in some, like, werewolf show on Sci-Fi for a couple of years.
What's his name?
Sam Witwer, Witwer.
W-E-R. Sam Witwer. Let's see. I'm going to Google it right now. Doesn't look familiar. I'm trying to see. American actor and Being Human. Oh, he was in Smallville. I haven't seen Smallville, but he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Once Upon a Time. He was in Solo, Star Wars. Oh, well, he voices Darth Maul in Solo. That's what it is.
Okay, so yeah, he was in that movie, I guess, as the voice too.
Yeah. So I think he was in Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna look right now. Under television. He's not on fucking television. I don't know. I could have sworn that was who it was, but again, I'd have to double check on that. I'm looking at his filmography.
Looks like he did another voice in another Star Wars cartoon, Star Wars Resistance.
That's pretty cool. Oh, he was in Rogue One as a stormtrooper. Interesting. Oh my God! It says here. I'm obviously I never knew this because I've never really looked up the guy. He was in that. What is it? Max Landis, that video, that Wrestling Isn't Wrestling video. Remember that from a couple of years ago?
Oh, Wrestling Isn't Wrestling?
Yeah, he was in it. He portrayed Chyna. That was him.
Jesus Christ. I do remember that video. I don't like Max Landis.
I don't think a lot of people do, but I saw that video, and I like the video, and I think he's been outed for some pretty... I don't know if he's just got exposed as an asshole, or if he did something wrong. I don't know exactly. I don't know if he got canceled or something, but...
Kind of both, but... Yeah, that was a funny video, because it was like all women playing the men, and then a couple men playing the women.
Yeah, exactly, and I guess he was a part of it, which is pretty cool. But, yeah, we're way down the rabbit hole here. I got to double check on that cameo. Maybe I'm already spewing false information. I'm spewing fake news here on the show as we kick off our review of The Mandalorian Season 2, The Marshal. But, yeah, overall impressions of Episode 1, Season 2, Chris. Did you enjoy it as much as I did?
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to the next one. I'm sad that they didn't release 2 right away like they did in Season 1. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. At least we have something new to enjoy and look forward to every week, especially with how crazy things are right now.
Exactly. It's going to take us through the end of 2020. Like I said, there's an episode a week coming out every Friday, I believe, because last year they took like a week or two off at certain points. According to Nerdist, their Twitter had said that they're coming out with an episode every week, every Friday up until December 18th. So we're getting this well into December, which is a great way to close out the year. And then maybe we might be getting the WandaVision show at some point too soon after. So that'd be a great 1-2 punch if they could pull that off somehow.
And they're also doing a Star Wars. So I'm assuming at some point you've heard of the Star Wars holiday special.
The infamous terrible holiday special. Is that what you're talking about?
So apparently Disney is making a Lego Star Wars holiday special.
Yo, that is awesome.
This year. So I'm sure it'll be a normal, funny Lego property kind of things. I'm hoping it actually comes out right around Christmas. That would be great.
That'd be sick. That'd be really cool. I wasn't super into the Lego stuff until I saw the Lego Movie 1 and 2. I haven't seen... They didn't do any Star Wars movies. I know they did a Batman movie.
Well, they've done a few like half-hour kind of TV things around Star Wars stuff, I think. Like, you can find some of that stuff on the Disney Plus app, but I've never really watched any of it. I've just seen the first Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie. I didn't see the Ninja one, and I didn't see the sequel to the Lego movie because I heard it wasn't as good.
I enjoyed it still. I saw the first one, and I really, really liked it. After years of putting it off, Alexis told me to watch it, and we watched it, and I really liked it. And then we saw the second one, and I liked that one too. I mean, I don't know if it's as good as the original, probably isn't, but I thought it was still really, really good. It's worth the watch if you like the first one, I would say.
Did you see the ninja one? I didn't bother with that one.
No, I didn't see the ninja one. I didn't see the Batman one. Is the Batman one good? Because the Batman character is one of the best parts about the first movie.
Yes, the Batman one is good. It definitely plays on a lot of the Batman stereotypes for comedic effect, which I'm a fan of, because Batman is one of those characters that, like, he's been taken so seriously ever since, like, after the Adam West show was over. And so seeing a funny Batman take is refreshing, because there's been humorous takes on almost every superhero throughout the years, but Batman's a tough nut to crack, and they did a really good job with just making him believable, but also ridiculous.
Yeah. No, he was pretty ridiculous in that first movie, so... No, I'll have to check that one out. I know I haven't seen any of the Disney Plus stuff you were talking about, the Lego Star Wars. I do play the games, though. I own all the games. I used to love that shit as a kid. They're coming out with another one, actually, later on this year, that I want to get for Xbox. My brother owns an Xbox One, I think he has. I know the new system's coming out. I don't think he's buying it for that, but the new game comes out later this year. Those are amazingly fun, too. As a Star Wars fan, as a Lego fan, the games are amazing. And I think, actually, if you own Xbox, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah, I have one of the trilogies. Like, it was free for the Xbox Gold members.
Yep, it's on. I think it's the second one. He downloaded that recently. I played it originally 10 years ago, and they re-released it, and it's great too. It's still great.
So far, I've only played 2 of the Lego games. I played the first Lego Marvel game, and I 100%ed that game. And then I played the Lego Batman.
That one was
3.
good.
I think it was the third one I played.
Oh,
and
shit, there's 3.
I think maybe I got halfway through it.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of the other Lego Marvel games. I just haven't had the time to really sit down and play it. So I haven't touched it yet. But they're super fun. The first Lego Marvel game, that game was just incredible, and it's probably the best Marvel game out there. The Marvel video games have been so few and far between outside of Lego. There's that new Avengers game, which even some people are like, it's okay. Yeah. It's not anything great, but the Lego game is great.
Yeah, no, I haven't played any of the new Marvel games, including the Lego one. I'm going to have to check it out. I used to play the Lego Star Wars ones. That's what got me into them. I played I didn't know there were 3 Batman ones. I played one of the first Batman ones 12 years ago, maybe. I don't know what it was called. Arkham something, I don't know. But it was a good game. I did play, I think they came out with multiple, but I did play the Indiana Jones one that covered, I think, the first 3 movies. It didn't cover the 4th one because it came out around the same time the 4th movie came out. That was a good game, too. And especially coming off the recent passing of Sean Connery and him being in the 3rd movie, makes me want to go play that game again. So there's a lot of good Lego stuff out there. There's a lot of good Lego games. Got a lot of good Lego Star Wars games as well. A lot of good Star Wars content, and now I'm getting back in the Star Wars mood after I kind of marveled myself out with all the movies that we just reviewed. I kind of want to go back and watch some of the Star Wars stuff, so it's always refreshing to watch something new. But yeah, new episodes every single Friday. What I'm going to try to do I'm putting this up on Tuesday. A day removed, like I said, from our Infinity Saga ranking that we recorded last week. I'm going to hope to put these up on Mondays, so if we can maybe do these over the weekend or on Mondays, whenever you're free, Chris, I would definitely love to pick your brain on these Mandalorian episodes, because it seems like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be watching the show early Friday every week whenever it's released. So
yeah, I mean, the thing with the show, I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, I'll watch it after I wake up and do a few things. I'm not going to watch it at 2 a.m. when it's released or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what some people did on Friday.
I thought about doing that, and then midnight rolled around. I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm just going to bed.
Yeah, no, it's too much. I didn't get a chance. I was going to watch it on Friday, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to watch it after SmackDown. And I saw people, I think you were actually one of the people I saw tweet about it, and I don't want to obviously find out any big spoilers, so I kind of glanced over it. And then I watched it without being spoiled. If I got the Boba Fett thing spoiled for me, I'm a big spoilers person. I fucking hate spoilers. I don't like to be spoiled about anything, so I'm glad that it wasn't spoiled. So I watched it late on Friday night, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to probably try to watch them earlier on Fridays now. So that gives us plenty of time to go back and do whatever before we break them down for Mondays. We're going to have Mandalorian Mondays here on the YouTube channel, which is going to be fun. We're replacing the Marvel Mondays that we just got doing for 6 months. So very excited for the show. But yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll catch you next week for the next one.
All right, sounds good.